are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio, man. We are here once again, and man, today we're going to have a fun time. We're going to be talking to an amazing guest today. He's the owner of the independent music website, breakingandentering.net. He's a music writer. Man, he loves the Milwaukee Bucks, so we're going to have some fun with that. But man, he's doing amazing things locally. But first and foremost, Alan Halas is the one that we're going to be talking to today. I want to welcome you, Alan, to the show, man. Say, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. Wonderful. Glad to be here.
Man, I see you doing big things in Milwaukee, man. So we got to get the backdrop history, man. What inspired you to get involved in the music scene, man?
So I actually really got involved with music, making music first. So this is when I was in like high school, basically, even just a little bit before that. I always grew up around like instruments and things like that. But I was producing beats and I had a cousin that rapped. And so I was making beats, and then eventually that kind of segued into, all right, I can't really hang with like some of the really good producers that were there. So I started getting into like, doing things with local radio, like student radio and stuff like that. I went to Marquette University. We did a student radio show called Breaking and Entering, and then kind of built from there into having a website, having like, this was like the blog era of, particularly hip hop, but just music in general. And then just really kind of forged it into, writing about music and making sure that the local music scene kind of got out there and got spread out, not to only our city, but beyond that,
That's cool, man. And you're a promoter and coordinator of the Big Beat MKE. It's a unique beat battle series in Milwaukee. Kind of share with the audience what that's all about.
Yeah, so this is actually coming up this April and May. We have it's a beat battle. So the way I always try to describe it to people is like, think of the movie 8 Mile, where it's a rap battle, but instead it's just beats. It's just two producers that go back and forth head to head. They get 3 1-minute rounds. The judges pick who's going to move on. The judges in the crowd pick who's going to move on to the next round. It's a 16 producer tournament, and so we do it over the course of 8 weeks. It's at a place in the middle of, the heart of downtown Milwaukee in the 3rd Ward. And yeah, it's just a blast, honestly, because we open up submissions for a month, all of March, that anybody can submit, anybody in the Milwaukee area, that they can just send over some beats that they've made. And then the producers get selected by a selection committee of not only myself, but local radio personalities, local, media influencers, things like that. And they pick our bracket of 16. It's just completely like a random draw, head to head, until we come up with a winner. So this year's going to be really cool because not only we've got 2 beat battles every night, and then we've got 2 performances from local artists as well. We got a DJ. If you're familiar with Native Instruments at all, they're giving away a complete package of like all of their software to everybody that, to the winner. I mean, this year. So first place is going to get like $1,400 worth of production software, plus a bunch of goodies from our other sponsors. So yeah, it's going to be a blast. We start that April 27th.
Man, that is legit, man. You sound like a little cousin of South by Southwest, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to South by before, and I think the big thing with Milwaukee is, we're kind of always a B market. We're always below, like Chicago is, of course, the place that every tour goes to. Or Minneapolis or Madison, even sometimes, they go to all of these other places and they maybe miss Milwaukee, but we have a thriving music scene here. We have a lot of really great artists. And honestly, like with the beat battle, I am surprised at the number of producers that we get, because people just kind of come out of the woodwork and they can surprise you. And it's awesome. It's so cool to see what happens when we put that together.
Nah, I check out your website, man. Your stuff is legit, man. You got quality talent on your site, and it's very impressive, all the work you're doing in Milwaukee, man. So with that said, you listen on Refocus Radio, you can go to our guest, Alan Halas. His website is breakingandentering.net. And yeah, my next question, man, when it comes to the scenery of just music events, festivals, and shows that you are involved with the local music community in Milwaukee, man, what's your opinion on a great live performance with these local artists?
For me, I mean, a great live performance, is really like anybody that can really engage the crowd and get them going. Especially like we have smaller clubs here that, might only fit like less than 100 people, but if you can pack those people in and get those people moving, you're doing something right for sure. So Milwaukee is kind of known as like a drinking town. Like people like to hang out and have their drink, and sometimes they're just kind of off to the sides or whatever. But I've seen a lot of really talented performers that have come in and they've controlled the crowd, and by the end of the night, everybody in the crowd is moving, and it's something unique to see, especially when it's a small amount of people. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun for sure.
And you have many roles with your website. So as a writer, a promoter for events and coordinator in the music industry, what's your strategy to kind of keep everything moving without it kind of falling apart?
Yeah, so it just kind of snowballed. To be honest with you, it started off with like, yeah, we should write about some stuff. And then like 2016, I was kind of like, man, we just really need to get out there like in front of people. You know what I mean? Like digitally, there's so many ways to advertise, but there's so much going on people's screens that like trying to draw attention to our website was not an easy task. So I was like, we just need to do something to get out there. And I was like, what if we just started booking bands? So we booked a couple shows and we would put our banner up. We'd get, basically free advertising out of the night. The strategy to keep it moving forward is to keep myself organized, which is a very hard task, but then to, just find who is next in Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Find who's next in our area. One thing I think I want to start doing a little bit more of this year too is bringing in some touring acts to pair with Milwaukee artists, so that not only they can perform like with a great show, but to kind of introduce the fans to somebody new that's from outside of the city, and vice versa to introduce the band from outside of the city into a Milwaukee act, and maybe they can put them on somehow in the future.
Listen, on Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Alan Halas. You can go visit his website, breakingandentering.net. And man, that's awesome, because kind of educate the audience a little bit on what is a real music promoter, because you're talking about getting artists booked for a show where it sounds like they get paid. So professionally, what is the role and task of a promoter?
So that entails a lot of things, right? For me, the show kind of goes, one, you got to find the day that works with the venue that they have open. Promoting the show means you're also booking everybody. You're getting in touch with all of these bands, making sure that they're all available, getting them signed up to be on the show. You're figuring out the order of the show, who's headlining, who is the biggest draw kind of thing. How much tickets are, what the split is going to be at the end of the night for everybody. And then you can also you also promote it. You know what I mean? Like then you get to actually advertise too. And you got to get the word out. And trust me, when we were doing like monthly shows at small little bars when we first started out, there would be times where it'd be like 15 minutes before like the first band would go on, and you'd start seeing some people coming in and you'd be like, oh my God, thank you. Because you had no idea what was going to happen. Could have been a bad night otherwise. But I mean, promoting shows, I've done it for now. Wow, it feels weird to say, but like 7 years on and off. And like, it is so like intense in the sense that you have every little aspect of it to put on. But yeah, it's way more than, hey, I can put you on this show. It's like, hey, I can put you on the show and figure out all the logistics to make it as good as possible for you and get you paid by the end of the night too, which is always important. I mean, I am definitely an advocate of making sure that bands and artists get paid and fairly. And if there's a night that I don't make money, that's fine, because I'd rather make sure that the artists are paid as well,
And you have a big banner somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, totally. It's always free advertising for the website too, which is great. There's always a big banner up somewhere. There's always our stickers are out there, or QR code cards and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I get my benefit out of it too.
And being in Milwaukee, do you see there is a like a advantage of keeping it local? Like, you know, when every time you have a new artist or a big artist coming in town, whatever, you can always cater to the locals.
Yeah, I think so. I think that honestly, in our market, I probably what we do is, we have some of the best coverage of Milwaukee's music scene. I mean, like, there's the local paper, there's a few other websites that cover music, but I think we really grasp on just about everything. One thing that I always pride myself on is that we cover everything from like the big festival level all the way down to like somebody that's making something really cool in their basement, and everywhere in between. So what we do is, being able to harness that and have that big knowledge of local music, we can find the artists that are going to be the right fit for a crowd, and and get people on that might not otherwise get the time of day from some of those other places. We can do that, and I feel good about that.
And switching gears a little bit, I noticed that you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and there's a good reason because you also are a contributor to a column for shepherdexpress.com. So congrats on that, man. That's pretty awesome. That shows your credibility right there. Kind of tell us a little bit about your Bucks, man.
Yeah, it's looking like I don't want to give too much away, but it's looking like it might be the year this year again. Obviously, Giannis is the big focus for us. But that entire big three that we have of Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday especially has been huge this year. And with the trades that happened this year and everything, the East kind of cleared out. It's looking like Boston and Milwaukee. So I'm hoping that Milwaukee can get back to championship. I will say, like, I'm born and raised here. The Bucks were not really that significant in my childhood. They were a losing team for a long time, and we would go to games when they were wearing red jerseys and winning 15 games a season and stuff like that. You get cheap tickets. The entire change ever since we got Giannis, and like the growth of that team and the new arena, the new district, everything that's around it in the last few years has really like raised the profile of Milwaukee. But the Bucks are actually very integral to that right now. So hopefully another championship year.
And being a contributor to shepherdexpress.com, how did you get that gig? Were you just kind of networking, or did someone spot out your blogs or something like that?
Yeah, actually, so I my full time is working with Shepherd Express. So I write for them, but then I also, do the back end of their website. I do their social media and stuff like that too. That was a pandemic thing. I got hired during the pandemic to do that, and I have yet to actually work a full day in the office there, because we kind of still work from home a lot. But yeah, we had somebody that was writing about the Brewers. We had somebody that was writing about the Green Bay Packers, but we had no Bucks coverage. So I started in 2019 writing about the Bucks for them, and lo and behold, that was a championship year. So it was
Oh,
a
that's
great
good timing.
start. Yeah, exactly. The first year that I did a full-time Bucks column, like every Monday is when I put it out. That's when was a championship year. So got to go, enjoy the Deer District and check all that out, and loved seeing a championship parade come to my hometown. So it was very cool to enjoy that and see something that really Milwaukee didn't see in 50 years. And actually, the last time that the Bucks won a championship, they didn't even have a parade for them. It just kind of happened.
We're talking to our guest, Alan Halas, music writer and owner of independent music website breakingandentering.net. And speaking of your Milwaukee Bucks, man, yeah, Giannis is a beast, man. I would not be surprised if they go to the finals of the Eastern Conference, and I can see them going to the finals, man. They definitely have what they need to get there, that's for sure. But with sports in mind, you do sports and music coverage. Did you see them working hand in hand in the future with your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to, get it more involved. Just sports in general. I'm a huge sports fan. Milwaukee is really kind of growing our entertainment options. Not that we didn't have them before, but we actually, there's two music venues that are getting built in the city. One is going to be right next to the Fiserv Forum where the Bucks play, and there's already one there that's actually across the street. So there's going to be another one that's going to be built there. There is another district being built in Milwaukee that is around, they're calling it the Iron District. It's going to have a music venue in it, and then it's going to actually be attached to a soccer stadium. So we're going to have a USL championship team, which is the like first step below the MLS. So sports and music, I mean, I always see that as two things that really unite people. You know, you and I could be on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum on whatever, but we have a home team and we share a home team, and we might, you know, both root for that team. When our arena got built, there were people from, you know, outside of the city that were like, oh, I'm never going to come here. And then the Bucks got good, and now a lot of our crowd comes from outside of the city. So, I mean, I think sports and music are things that bring people together, and I'm all about that. I'm definitely all about, you know, even if you fight with somebody, even if you don't see eye to eye with somebody, like you have common ground somewhere and you can build on that. And I think that's definitely what sports and music do. I would love to, you know, somehow incorporate breaking and entering into that too. If we're, you know, booking bands at basketball games or soccer games or something like that, it would be awesome.
Yeah, imagine you start getting artists singing the national anthem. That'd be wild, man. And I could only imagine you probably slowly but surely turn into the, you know, the middleman, the guy that knows the artists locally.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, one of the radio stations here started doing a Milwaukee Monday. So they at halftime at some Bucks games, they have like, you know, they'll have Milwaukee artists performing and stuff like that. I got to shout out DJ Shauna from the Milwaukee Bucks. She plays a lot of Milwaukee artists in like the pregame warm up, and she actually hit me up because I did some radio edits for some songs for some artists. And so like some of the music being played in the arena is stuff that I had a little bit of a hand in, you know, basically just cleaning it up for radio, but still cool to be like, oh, something I worked on, like artists that I know, you know, are now getting played while Giannis is warming up and while Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are warming up, you know?
And do you offer like services to the artists, like maybe some kind of consulting, how to market themselves or brand themselves?
At the moment I don't, but that's more of a time-based thing, you know, like I just don't have the time to really sit down with somebody and go over that. I've been offered to manage artists a couple times, and I've really, really thought about it. But at the same time, I know that it's something that would take my like full attention, and I just don't operate with enough, you know, time for something like that. But I'm always down to like sit down and talk with, you know, artists if I can make it work and say, hey, this is something that I think you could do better, or this is something that I could, you know, I could see this being a little bit cleaner or whatever the case be, you know. So finding opportunities for artists is definitely something that I'm always an advocate for.
Because I can imagine sooner or later, a lot of these Milwaukee artists gonna be like hitting you up, like, man, I want to be an artist too, especially with those who are on the come up. Do you see new artists trending a certain way as far as how they approach the music industry?
I think so. Yeah. Actually, it's pretty crazy right now. So like there's a whole like indie rock scene that's happening on like the east side of Milwaukee that are all kids that are coming right out of college. They're finally like 21, so they're able to go and play bars and things like that because they were playing a lot of like house shows and basement shows and stuff like that. But you also have this like crazy amount of like, it really lives on YouTube, but I call it like the underground hip hop scene, where it's a lot of like street rap artists that like rack up thousands and thousands of views on like YouTube. But then like the TikTok dances have been crazy this year of like Milwaukee TikTok dances. Yeah, if you just like search, I think if you search like hashtag Milwaukee or something like that, like there's a lot of like trends have started here. Like actually, you know, Jordan Poole from the Golden State Warriors
Mm-hmm.
from Milwaukee, and then somebody else from the Warriors, but they were like doing like the Milwaukee like TikTok dances like after, you know, after a game or something like that. I saw that go crazy. So, you know, things like that happen. So yeah, Milwaukee's kind of on a come up.
Yeah, I didn't ask you earlier, but were there any like certain artists or sounds that inspired you growing up listening to music?
So I know I've talked a lot about like working on hip hop, but I actually grew up skateboarding and listening to a lot of punk rock. So that is kind of my like that has always been my thing. I still listen to like a lot of like punk and hardcore and stuff, and of course plenty of hip hop, plenty of pop, stuff like that too. Um but I think that kind of inspired my like work ethic. Is like skateboarding was like my big thing. You know, it was, hey, do it yourself. Like we didn't have, there weren't a lot of skate parks at the time and stuff like that. This is, early like turn of the millennium kind of thing. So we built our own ramps. We did it ourselves and we made it happen. And I think that influenced me, whether I realized it or not.
Yeah, I definitely was in the skateboard thing myself on X64 because I wasn't in real life, but the video game,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, Underground, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my thing back in the day. So kind of sparked some memories there. I mean, maybe you might do events at skate parks, man. That'd be kind of cool. DJs and a stage.
Did actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
That was one of our first shows that we threw. We were trying to do our own like Warp Tour kind of thing.
Oh, wow, that's dope.
We booked like a couple punk bands and a couple hip hop acts, but we booked them at skate parks, and like the kids didn't really know that we were like gonna be there that day, I think. So like a lot of them were just there to like skate. But it was cool to mix like different artists and sounds, and maybe we'll bring that back sometime. We might have to do that again.
Sounds like a summer type vibe right there, man.
Yeah.
Man, once again, talking to our guest, Alan Halas, you go to his website, is breakingandentering.net. Last question for you, man. Looking to the future with your brand, your platform, man. What is some of your short-term goals that you would love to see happen with your platform, working with the music industry, man, inside the industry?
Yeah, short term for sure. I think I want to really do something that's going to put Milwaukee's artists in a really great place, but I want to, be able to do that and make my brand stand out too, right? So we have a major music festival here called Summerfest. It is it's the world's largest music festival by length and like number of artists. It's actually like 3 weekends here in Milwaukee now. It used to be 11 days straight. And now it's 3 weekends in June and July. I would love to get a little more involved with that. We do a lot of coverage. I've been covering that since 2014 as like press, but getting involved and getting artists opportunities to perform there, I think would be very cool. And yeah, like being able to open doors, I think is the big thing for me, whether that's, festivals or arenas or whatever, like finding some way to get Milwaukee music to people that don't necessarily like seek it out as much. We have a lot of people that here that are in the scene and they check stuff out and they're really dedicated. But then we also have those people that are like, could care less if there was local music, but they'll go see, a national touring band every week. I would rather, get our name and our music out to those people and get those artists out there and, make people realize that there's really good talent happening in Milwaukee.
You've been listening to Refocus Radio, talking to Alan Halas, the owner of independent music website, breakingandentering.net. Man, check out his work. Check out what he's been doing, all of the awesome talent in Milwaukee. Man, I can't wait to see what you got next, man, because like I said, looking at your website, it looked like you put in some works in all caps into that. There's nothing off on that website. It's clean, and like I said, the talent is pretty awesome. So, man, thanks for taking time to talk to us, man. What's a good call to action for people when they hear this, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man. I love it. This is awesome what you got going on here. The best place is breakingandentering.net to find everything. We're on literally all of the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff. You can find me too. It's just at Alan Halas everywhere, ALLENHALAS. So, but yeah, breakingandentering.net is the move.